Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, a show where two former roommates talk about a new movie every week. This week on the show, we're talking about Ender's Game.
They know our strategies. They've learned our weaknesses. And the alien attack nearly destroyed us. That must never be allowed to happen again.
As always, I'm your host, Korbin Zvokel, and joining me is my co-host, Kody Webb. Kody, how are we doing this week?
Doing great, man. Appreciate the intro. Another great one. Back-to-back great weeks, I would say. But I'm just out here, enjoying life, watching movies. Super excited to be here.
Thank you. Got to keep the hot streak of the intros alive and keep on chugging along. And of course, like I mentioned last week, we do have a guest this week. It's my current roommate.
And they were roommates.
Oh, we got some drama. My current roommate, Austin Nightenhelser. You've come on to talk about Ender's Game. How you feeling? How's it feel to be on the pod?
Feel pretty good, especially knowing I'm the better roommate. Had to have me save me for last. I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk about Ender's Game, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to the conversation. Ender's Game. Interesting pick for sure. Probably not a movie Kody and I would have ever talked about if you didn't bring it to our attention. So why did you pick it, Austin? Why did you want to talk about Ender's Game?
So I wanted to pick it, or I did pick it. Ender's Game is actually one of my favorite books. Growing up, I read obviously Ender's Game and a lot of the books in this series. And I was thinking about it probably a couple weeks ago. I think I wanted to reread the book. I thought might as well just rewatch the movie, and this gave me a purpose to rewatch it. So I figured it'd be a good movie to talk about. I'm sure there's a lot of things that we could get into here, but mainly my fondness of the book is what made me come back to the movie.
So you're going to be our resident expert on all things Ender's Game today.
Put air quotes around
Scott
that.
Card. I actually have also read Ender's Game and enjoyed it quite a lot. And then I think I read one of the sequels, but very interesting book series. Movies are pretty different in a lot of ways, but why don't we go ahead and get into our initial thoughts? Kody, have you ever even seen this movie? And if not, what is your thoughts on a first time watch?
Yeah, no, I'm the odd man out here, I think, this week. I've not read the books. I've not seen the movie ever before. So this is my first true, seeing of everything in this universe, which might leave me out now, but that's fine. But yeah, actually, I think when this movie came out, I don't even know when it came out, but I think I saw the trailer. And basically, I just remember going to the YouTube comments and it being like, why did it spoil the big twist at the end? Because the trailer gave away basically that, it wasn't a simulation or whatever, which is the big twist. So going into it, I already knew the entire movie, which sucked because I watched a trailer 10 years ago. But yeah, my initial thoughts, the acting and the scripts, just flat out are not very good. All the kid actors are pretty terrible, which I mean, they're kids. So we give them a little bit of leniency, but just calling it as it is. Also, the direction shit. I don't know if you guys know this director, Gavin Hood. He also made X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is known as one of the worst movies of all time, I would say, at least from a comic book sense. I mean, it's bad. I never want to see anything from that movie ever again in my life. Mostly Sabretooth and Gambit, my God. But yeah, this movie, I will throw out a positive right away as well. The effects are pretty damn good. I mean, they must have had a pretty decent budget for this. Most of the effects look good. The sets, on the other hand, they're super basic. I'm not a fan of it. They went all out for the effects, but I feel they didn't put anything in the sets or the costumes. It's all just as basic as I think you could do it. Obviously I don't know anything about the books, so maybe it's that in the books too. But yeah, I don't know. I do have some more thoughts, but I'll hop it over you guys because I really don't know much about this property. I'm kind of iffy on this movie off the start.
Yeah, the movie came out in 2013.
Okay.
By the way, that's the research. That's why I got the tabs open, Kody.
There you go.
But yeah, what are your initial thoughts on rewatching this movie, Austin?
So I remember Kody was mentioning the trailer when it first came out, and I remember being very confused watching it because this movie came out pretty very recently to after I finished the book, and I was confused as to, again, what Kody was saying, how why they gave away the plot, and the trailer seemed to be very geared towards the people who actually read the book. like I knew what was happening in the trailer because like I knew the story, but if like Kody, who had never read the book, doesn't know what's happening, I thought the trailer didn't do a very good job of like building the hype for the movie. And if I remember, the marketing for this movie wasn't very good initially, like anyways. I think that's a big part of it. Something else I thought of, I was looking to see when Harrison Ford came back to, I guess, sci-fi genre. And this is his first time back to sci-fi after a 30-year hiatus. And I thought it was really interesting because, I mean, that's obviously what he got big on. And he came back to this, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm not a real big fan of his job in this movie. But it just surprised me, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we will talk a lot about Harrison Ford in a little bit, but my initial thoughts, I think I saw this described in like a letterbox review or somewhere on the internet where someone was like, this has to be like the most interesting concept done in the worst like possible way to like make it uninteresting and unfun, because there's a lot of stuff in this book. It deals with a lot of themes and topics, and like, you know, it's literally about like genocide and like the cost of war and like all this like very deep stuff, and it's just like so joyless, so boring, and it just lacks any sort of real heart to it. I think something that the book manages to pull out in the end is like have some heart and like have some feeling. But, like, you just don't care about anything that's happening in this movie to me. There's the other big just issue I have with it is just it's really rushed. Like, there's no sense of time. They like will walk from one room to the next, it seems like, and it's like 3 years later, but the book or the movie does nothing to indicate that to you, and it's very confusing in that regard. And in just in general, the movie's just like, hey, like, here's some bullshit that we're gonna tell you, like, you just need to go along with it. Like, and every 5 minutes it's something new where it's like, oh yeah, like here Mazer Rackham, this dude is like still alive, and he's just this dude with like Maori tattoos, and he's living inside this place, and you just like go with it. And oh hey, by the way, like, he's gonna kill the kid from Hannah Montana and just go along with it, but he's fine, he's gonna get promoted for it. It's just a lot of just like, they're trying to be like, hey, you just gotta trust the process, and then you get to the end and it is, you shouldn't trust the process, you wasted 2 hours, and it's really awful. It's awful. No good payoff.
Yeah, I really agree with that. Also, my thoughts were the pacing of this movie. I don't understand at all, because it is so slow at the beginning. Like, it's basically a slow burn, and then once they get to like that interesting stuff at the end with like the big questions, like you're saying, the moralities of war, they literally just committed genocide on a planet. That's the last like 5 minutes of the movie. Like, it's so fast. I feel like they didn't leave any time at the end to actually, like, you know, sink in with those bigger questions. It's just like, oh yeah, we killed everybody, and then, you know, he's gonna go out and do whatever. But also, I did want to bring up this movie. It really reminded me of another movie, and that's Kingsman, the Secret Service. Just that training montage in Kingsman, where like it's only like 15 minutes in the movie, I think, where they're recruiting like the new spies and stuff, and then at the end he has like killed the dog. That's basically just like the first hour and a half of this movie, I would say, but just drawn out for an extended period. So yeah, I mean, there is, like you said, a lot of interesting stuff in here, and that's why I feel like the book would actually be decent if I read that. But this movie, I think it's just got too many issues.
Yeah. So bringing up the book, this movie started really late into the book, and it also ended really early into the first book, which I thought was really odd.
That is very weird.
Yeah,
so it's not even a clean interpretation of the first book. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, the parts that they did, I thought they did fine, but yeah, they like the first third of the book they missed, and then like probably the last. I don't know how much of the last like ending of the book, but like I could go into it a little bit more if you wanted, but like they just skipped a bunch of stuff.
They cut out like a lot of major subplots like that have to do with Earth itself and like his family, and like there's other stuff that's going on. But you know, specifically like with the genocide stuff, throughout the movie you get this kind of sense like he's dealing with like, oh, maybe they're like a sentient species, and it dips its toe into that, but the book is entirely like focused on his like struggle with that and the ramifications and like what it does to him when he kills this species, and then like the reason that he's so like needs to go and like go out into the world and take that hive queen, and like you just don't get any sense of that. You're like, this is really strange. When it happens in the movie, you're like, oh, whatever. There's even a quote in the book that they cut off. It's probably like the most important quote of the entire series. In the moment when I truly understand my enemy, understand him well enough to defeat him, then in that very moment, I also love him. I think it's impossible to really understand somebody, what they want, what they believe, and not love them the way they love themselves. And like that's a core theme of the books, moving on even into like sequels and a lot of things they deal with. And it's just like completely absent from the movie. And it's probably the most important part. So
I think they had it on the very first, like after the title screen, they put the quote
it's
up.
true.
But that's
they
it,
do
I
that.
think.
Yeah. You're right.
Not the whole thing though, just like the beginning. But
Yeah, like when nobody else remembers it.
yeah. They never touched on it again either, I don't think.
Nope.
But yeah.
It's something that like he truly thinks to himself, like in that moment of he's destroyed his enemy. So let's go ahead and move on to stupidest part.
You stupid.
Austin, it's your movie, so what's so stupid about it?
So something I thought was pretty stupid was at the beginning when Ender was in the program and everything, and they decided to take the monitor out, and they came back home on Earth, and they were all like trying to support him, say, oh, you know, it's okay, not everybody, obviously it's a very rigorous program, not everybody makes it, and then Harrison Ford comes down, hire him, and wants to invite him back, I guess, to advance in the program, and suddenly his entire family was like, oh, maybe you don't want to do that, like we don't want you to go. Like I just thought it was very confusing going from when he came back on Earth, they were supporting him, and then to change to that. And then something else I thought was stupid, which I guess is kind of explained in the movie, but like, why is Ender the only option, I guess, throughout it? Which I guess could be another question for the book rather than the movie. But like, if they've had all this time, they're not even sure that the boogers are going to attack. Like, why does Ender have to be the one? It just seemed very rushed to me on that part, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely true. Go ahead,
Kody,
Barb.
what do you got? Cody,
I want to hear your. Oh, you want me to go first? All right, I got a couple. If we were still doing best character like we did like last season, his brother Peter would definitely be up in my rankings for that. He's in the movie for about 5 minutes, and all he does is just choke his little brother out. So yeah, I really don't understand like why that's in there. Obviously, it's like for motives and stuff, but kind of weird. My bigger one is the Chitauri effect. If you don't know what I'm talking about the Chitauri aliens from 2012 Avengers, where if you take out the mothership, you know, the rest of the aliens die. I feel like that's a trope used a lot in movies. You know, this book may have invented that. I don't really know like where that came from, but I think in general it's kind of stupid. Just if you take out the mothership, everyone else dies. And then my last one is I don't know if you guys know the scene like as much as I do here, but it was the choreography fight scene with Asa Butterfield and Hailee Steinfeld. I just audibly laughed the entire thing. It's a fucking joke watching it. I don't know how it didn't cut. And then the pendejo idiot just came in and started punching me too. I mean, you just gotta go watch the scene if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's just comical. It's supposed to be like really heartfelt, you know, like character bonding. And then, you know, pendejo kid comes in. He's supposed to be like the antagonist, I guess. But no, that's just bad cinema if I ever seen it. But yeah, that's fine. What do you guys think?
Yeah, sure, I agree with you. There's a lot of bad stuff about this movie at the end of the day. I mentioned earlier, there's really no sense of time whatsoever. These are events that are kind of supposed to be happening over at least like a year or two, or like a couple of years, and it feels like it's all within a week. Like he arrives to one place, has this one big fight, and then he's on to the next thing, and it just is constantly boom, 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 boom. Once he moves off to battle school. Secondarily, there's a line that Harrison Ford says. He goes, "Young kids deal with complex thoughts better than adults." What does that even mean? Like, sure, like that's the whole reason that they use kids, but it just doesn't make any sense. Like that's false. So just bad science right there. And then the third thing is just there's a lot of obvious like ADR, like dialogue replacement where like it'll be like maybe the back of someone's head, and then they'll go back and they'll record audio over top of the clip. And there's just moments where it's very clear they re-recorded it in post and like added an extra line here or there, like right before a scene cuts, or like maybe they're walking and it like cuts away from their mouths, but there's like audio overlaid and it just sounds like it's in a different place and it isn't mixed properly. And there's just a lot of that really stood out to me in this movie. where it's just like poor editing and just not a lot of effort put into it. You need a good script in the moment. You need to shoot it right, or you're gonna have to go back and do stuff like this, which is really looks bad to me. So
yeah,
sounds
I
bad.
agree with that. I did notice that a couple times too. It's just distracting. Like, it's just not necessary at all. And then yeah, what were we talking about before? Oh, I was gonna say something. I don't
Young
fucking
kids
remember.
deal with complex thoughts.
Yeah, dude, I never even like. I guess I just bought into that idea. Like, why are they making kids run the fucking military? Doesn't make any sense. I guess,
The real
the
reason
book-
is that these kids, don't have to face the ramifications of like killing everybody, because you can't fully process that. Like, if you're an adult
Yes.
and you wipe out an entire race, then like that's something that like you have to deal with. But like if you're young enough as a kid, like maybe you
What?
can get past it.
You can't face a war crime if you're not an adult. So
Yeah, that's true. It's illegal technically what they're doing anyway.
Like you can't grasp the atrocity that you just committed as like a 10-year-old.
I don't buy that.
So you can live with yourself.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, fair enough, I guess, but nah.
It's a true fact. Why don't we move on to our favorite scenes?
She is very gorgeous to me.
I'll get it started. There's not a lot of like stuff I like a lot in this movie, but I think the first fight where Ender is the head of the team, he's the dragon team leader. They just his strategy. This looks like one scene where it actually shows like he's a strategic mind and he can like figure stuff out and he should be a leader. Comes up with the plan to like. I think the use of like human shields is really interesting because it's like thematic of like, oh, sometimes you have to sacrifice people to win for the greater good. And literally in this scene, they like let everybody get shot and killed just so the one person can pass through and win. And that's essentially what they do in the final fight as well. So
Yeah, no, that was gonna be what I was talking about as well, just like the opposite. The final battle is kind of cool. I mean, it does bring around like the theme that you said of like that game they were playing is basically the exact same thing that happened at the end. So I did like that. If I'm gonna be honest, I forgot about best scene when I was doing my notes, so I just had to come up with something very quickly because there's not a ton of love in this movie, I think. Yeah, I really do like that final battle. Like I was talking about the effects before. I mean, all the ships going out to those bug things is kind of cool. All their engines and stuff blowing up, and then yeah, at the end, the decimation of the planet. Although
the Death Star.
Yeah,
theme.
it's got a cool look to it. It's not like something I'd enjoy watching most times, but visually it's pretty nice. So I'd probably stake that as my favorite scene as well.
The thing that doesn't make a lot of sense with that like battle is like the viewpoint that they have when they're like controlling all these ships. It's like they're watching like a movie on their screen of like it all happening, and like the perspective changes and they can see everything from every camera angle. But it's like what technology do they have that they can see everything from every angle, and like when it's not a simulation and it's actually like a real them like just like actually fighting millions of miles away. The technology is a little confusing.
They just
like
brought a
Star
camera
Wars.
crew. They just brought a camera crew, bro.
And they have a camera ship out there.
Gotta get the big games. Come on. They're
Uh-huh.
streaming that all over the place.
And like they're
Pay-per-view.
controlling all the things. Like
Zoom out, zoom in. Yeah. I
they
don't
think
understand.
and they think it's like the ships they think are drones. So, like it makes sense that they would control, but there's like humans with real thoughts piloting all of those things separate from them.
I guess they don't have controls though, because I mean,
Well,
all the
what's
kids are
the point of having
piloting it, right? Yeah.
Well, no, they
Might
were
as well
just
have empty
directing the
ships,
forces,
honestly.
but I guess
why are there
good-
even people there? That is true. There's no reason
Mhm.
for anybody to be in those ships.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. But
Like,
yeah,
if they're deciding everything, there's
They
no
need to be
point.
like the U.S. military and just send unarmed
then the drones, baby. Yeah.
drone strikes to countries that don't deserve it. That's what they do.
It's my tax money, baby.
I mean, that's basically what they did in this movie. To be honest.
Except they put people in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they need transports filled with people too.
I like how this has devolved from favorite scenes to issues we have.
I don't know. Austin, clear it up. What's your favorite scene?
Hey, I'll keep it positive. Obviously, one of my favorite scenes like ever in a book is when is obviously given away in the trailer, but when they realize that it's not simulations, they actually just killed an entire race, pretty much. I think that whole reveal is done way better in the book. But that's one of my favorite scenes still in the movie. Another scene I really like a lot, like Kody, you talked a lot about the effects, but the very first fight that Mazer Rackham has with the aliens, I think that was done very well because it was blue skies. It was done obviously very close to Earth. And I thought that whole scene was better than actually the like end fight scene. I just thought it looked better, but I thought it was really cool. And something else I thought was actually kind of interesting was when they show the scenes of Ender playing the like mind evaluation game where he's the mouse or whatever. I thought cutting from like actual film to like the animated film, I guess, I thought that was kind of interesting because I've never really seen that, like where it switches in between both. But I enjoyed that.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, now we're gonna move on to very interesting category and who can act.
Wow.
Now, let me just get this started by saying this movie has a very interesting cast. A wide range of actors, some of which are very well respected, have received critical and awards, critical acclaim and popular acclaim. Yeah. Critical and popular acclaim for their performances and other things, with people such as Harrison Ford, Ben Kingsley, Viola Davis, Hailee Steinfeld, Asa Butterfield, Abigail Breslin, Moises Arias, and many others. But there's not a lot of great acting in this movie.
They've all been good in other things. We'll say that.
They just took this one off. They collected their paycheck and went on.
Exactly. So, who is the best actor in this movie, Kody?
I got a couple picks here. You guys were ragging on my boy early, so I got to come in and defend him. I don't think Harrison Ford's terrible in this movie. You know, he's got the exposition guy. He's the kind of hard ass military who's just spewing facts from the mouth. You know, I didn't catch half of them, so I wasn't paying attention probably. But I mean, he's not bad. He didn't sell out completely, I don't think. And he's like kind of like his conversations with Asa Butterfield are sometimes interesting at points. I think how to really tell who can act in this movie is their conversations with the Butter Boy, because every time Hailee Steinfeld talks to him, I want to, gouge my ears out. But other people, who is my best actor, Ben Kingsley, their scenes are actually not bad. Ben Kingsley, I mean, what's he doing in this movie? Honestly, who the hell knows? But his actual dialogue with the Butter Boy, I actually thought was pretty decent. It was actually like a little bit of tension between them, which I did like. His character, I won't say anything too bad about it, but I think Ben Kingsley is probably the best actor in this movie.
I'm gonna have to agree with that. I thought Ben Kingsley, I have him as my number one rated, I guess, actor. And I thought it was really interesting seeing the differences between the movie and the book, because Mazer Rackham in the book is like this amazing person and like feeds so much into Ender during training, and that's not really done in this movie. But I thought Ben Kingsley did an amazing job.
Yeah, back it.
Fair enough. My pick for best actor is and who can act is Viola Davis. I don't. I think she I mean, she's been really good in a few different things, but I think in this movie specifically, she rides that line where it's a little bit of a paycheck, but also like has some serious acting power behind it. Her role isn't much; it's basically just to bitch at Harrison Ford the entire movie. But I think she does a really good job of at least showing some compassion and heart in a movie where there is none from anyone else. So she seems at least to care about other people and have feelings and emotions. So
that's true. How much screen time does she have? Dude, I swear like halfway through the movie,
she like disappears.
Yeah. There's like, oh, don't quit. Like when was she going to quit? But yeah, Viola Davis is good as well. I just forgot she's in the movie, if I'm being honest.
I thought the guy that played Dab did a good job as well. Like kind of like the drill instructor guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he's decent. I don't know.
It's kind of hard to mess up that role, but
he salutes pretty well. I'm not gonna lie.
That's true.
Not so Anazi.
That's what we're looking for.
I'm definitely gonna replace that guy and recast. Not gonna lie, but
he's not terrible, dude.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on. Who can't act?
Honestly, we've said it before. I think everybody in this movie could have done better. Personally, I think Mr. Butterboy, I think, was the worst in this movie. I mean, obviously, he has the most screen time. He has the most lines to deliver. I think kind of what you're talking about with Viola. I mean, could have put a little bit more heart in the lines what he was doing. Like, I felt like a lot of times he's kind of like looked dead when he was looking like into the screen, which concerned me slightly. Because like, I mean, he's done good in past in other movies, but I thought he could have done a way better job with pretty much anything that he did.
I agree.
I don't think he's bad in this movie. He's pretty young, I feel like.
That's true.
And I think he's a little bit robotic at times. He's just trying too hard, I think, at times as well. I think he actually cared though. So I spread it off him. I went after a couple more, of these goons. Like Austin was saying, I mean, you can pretty much name anybody here and nobody's gonna argue with you. But I already talked about Hailee Steinfeld, so I'll just go on a little rant about her first. I mean, she's terrible. This is pretty early on in her career. Like, she's gone on to do some pretty good things. I do think she's a decent actress. But this era of her career where she's doing this and like the Pitch Perfect movies, I don't know if you guys have seen those, but she's very, very bad in those as well. The thing is as well with this like YA genre, you always gotta throw in some like element of romance for no fucking reason. And her and the Butter Boy have just no chemistry whatsoever. Yeah, to go off her a little bit, I do want to talk about somebody else as well. Evidently, he was in Hannah Montana. I didn't even know that. I just know him as, the Pendejo guy, the Salamander Commander. He's just over the top. And I feel like he's supposed to be like the main antagonistic guy that, Butterboy has to deal with. And he's just not intimidating at all. Just falls completely flat, in my opinion, his performance. And also, he keeps saying Pendejo. So all around, not good from the cast, but those were the two that really stood out for me.
Yeah, not a great start. Moises Aries, bro.
Moises Aries, sure.
I never watched Hannah Montana, but how do you not know he's from Hannah Montana?
I mean, I don't know.
It's like it's like the main thing he's been in. He was in something else too, but I can't remember this.
I don't watch the Disney Channel, bro.
Hannah Montana,
Get off
the movie.
my back.
I'll talk about some people that have already been talked about in other categories in this one. First one, Harrison Ford. I do not think he's good in this movie. Definitely a paycheck film, although to be fair, I think just about everything Harrison Ford does is a paycheck film, especially in recent years. Him coming back to Star Wars. You just watch him in interviews. Ask that dude anything about Star Wars. He doesn't actually give a shit. Like, same thing with Ender's Game. He probably barely remembers he was even in this movie. So I don't think you can really say it's a great acting performance when he showed up, read some lines, and was just Harrison Ford for, however many, 60 minutes of screen time or whatever he's got in this film. So good for him, though. He's old as hell. He's filming Indiana Jones 5 and is probably going to die trying to finish it. So
why do they keep making those, honestly? But
I don't know, but Mads Mikkelsen's the villain, so I'm actually all for it.
Mads Mikkelsen, overrated.
No, sir. Finally, I'm going to Asa Butterfield, secondarily for my second person here.
Not the Butter Boy.
Not the Butter Boy himself. Listen, one of my favorite TV shows that I will recommend later on is Sex Education. Asa Butterfield is the lead in that movie. I think he can be a really great actor. I just think this role is terrible for him. And I think there was a little period of Hollywood, 3-4 years, where Asa Butterfield was getting cast left and right. He was the hot up and coming actor. He was, the young guy. If you wanted a child star, you could get him. He was in Boy in the Striped Pajamas. He was in the Martin Scorsese directed Hugo, which is also a book I love, and just a weird movie. But Asa Butterfield was all over the place. They tried to put him in the big sci-fi, hopeful tentpole blockbuster, and it didn't work out for a lot of reasons, but him being the center of it, specifically in this role, I think is one of the main reasons. Anytime he tries to play tough in this, it's just bad. It's unbelievable, and he's not scary. He's so meek, is how I would describe him. And him being able to play that nerdy, but also funny, and with his moments of confidence in Sex Education and in some other more recent roles, I think he's found his lane a little bit more. And moving on, we'll talk about him potentially getting cast in something else, and we'll talk about that. So, if everyone is good with those who can't act, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back. And we're back with the recast.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
I have a couple things I want to change here, so maybe we can go around the room. Kody, you want to get started?
Absolutely, I would. Yeah. I mentioned it earlier, so I'll just get to it right away. Sergeant Dapp, who is very good at saluting. He's probably a fine actor. I just don't know anything
Top
about
5
him.
saluter of all time.
Oh, he's in that category easily. But yeah,
arguably top 3.
You're pushing it there. But yeah, when he was first introduced, you get the shot from behind, and he's wearing a little beret. And I said, "Oh shit, Idris Elba's in this movie." And they pan around, and it's not Idris Elba, whatever how you say it. But Yeah, I think Idris Elba would be sick in that role. Honestly, he's got the beret. I feel like he wears that shit all the time. He did in the Suicide Squad, I think. Also, maybe Pacific Rim. He wore that like similar hat. He's just kind of a badass too. I would be intimidated as hell at if I was at one of these camps. Yeah, give me Idris Elba. Why not? Never say no to Idris.
To be honest, you pronounced it twice, and I don't think either of them are right. But two different ways. And
Idris Elba. That's
for two. I think it's Idris Elba.
Bullshit. I said Idris the first time. I think
you said Idris.
Well, it's not that. I knew that I said it wrong the first time. I'm
Let's
pretty
move
sure
on.
Idris.
Yeah, you're putting Idris in.
Awesome. Give me a recast.
Hey, I got you. I'll start with Ender. Actually, I'll just go for the big boy. I think Butterboy should have been replaced by a young Macaulay Culkin, good old Home Alone. I think it'd be interesting because obviously that boy's a genius in Home Alone, how he fends off all the thieves and everything. So he's got to have a big brain, and Ender's supposed to have a big brain. So I just think it goes hand in hand, it'd be a good replacement. And also, I guess I don't want to go too far into this, but these kids are supposed to be 10 years old. And I feel like some of the actors and actresses they pick for this don't really fit that because they're way older. So I think I'm not really sure how old he was when Home Alone was filmed, but I think if you get a 10-year-old Culkin, might be a good fit.
It doesn't matter when he made Home Alone. Just get a 10-year-old McCulkin. That's perfect.
So people can picture it.
Asa Butterfield was 16.
Yeah,
at the time of this.
Yeah, he looks pretty young though. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I think at the end, if Macaulay Culkin was in it, he just set a bunch of traps for the ant, for the whatever things, the ants, and they all just come down the stairs, get hit the head with like a paint can or something. So
Home Alone Macaulay Culkin was 10 years old in Home Alone. So
see,
oh wow, all right, that's good research there. Respect the research grind.
All right, I like it. I'm more of a Kieran Culkin fan, but we'll take Macaulay too.
Who?
His brother, Kieran Culkin.
What's he in?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
No, that's a fake, man. You're lying to us.
He's in movies. He's a guy.
You didn't do your research. Austin did. All right, pipe down.
Okay. He's in Home Alone too.
All right, let's hear your reason, guys.
It's in No Sudden Move. Yeah, my first pick. First of all, they do this thing with Ben Kingsley where anytime it's kind of like a racially ambiguous or like a not white role that they still kind of want to give to like a kind of white guy, they give it to Ben Kingsley. Obviously, Ben Kingsley is half Indian, but they always give him like he's playing a role of a native New Zealander, like a Maori person. This, which is just weird. Like they do that all the time, where it's just like racially ambiguous. Like give it to Ben Kingsley. So I'm gonna give it to a guy who's actually from New Zealand and is actually Maori, and that's Taika Waititi. I want to take on to the role of Mazer Rackham. Now this seems strange. Taika Waititi, I've not enjoyed him in some films where he does some acting. He's obviously a very funny guy. Plays things a little bit more, not a hard ass general, but this is going to be his breakout role. When we're recasting this movie, we're remaking it, we're changing everything, and we're bringing Taika Waititi in, and he's going for his goddamn Oscar. This movie is going to become Dune. It is the next sci-fi event. Star Wars, move over. Here comes Ender's Game remake. Taika Waititi is my Mazer Rackham. Should I go on?
Respect.
No, please stop.
I think you covered it.
Actually, he's really good in the Suicide Squad, which I know you hated him in. But
I do hate him in that movie. But...
Yeah, I actually really liked him in that movie. So yeah, give him a chance at something serious. Why not?
Yeah. So if I can just carry off of your Dune comment there, I think one of the other replacements I thought would be interesting is replacing Harrison Ford with Oscar Isaac, who I can't remember the name, but plays the father in Dune.
Yes, sir.
Of Paul, and I think I really liked Oscar Isaac in Dune. I think it'd be really cool to see him in this role. I know Hiram is supposed to be like a really gruff, kind of older man, and I think he could probably play the role pretty well. Somebody else I had kind of penciled in for Hiram was Hugo Weaving. I know some of his roles recently has been like, I know he kind of like has a mask on and stuff, so it'd be kind of hard to picture him in it. But I think I could see him getting like really into the role as well.
Yeah, I like that pick. I don't know if he's still working, honestly, but a lot of classic villains Hugo Weaving's done, so he can definitely do that kind of role. But yeah, my other recast, I'm going after the director. I already shit talked him a little bit this episode. Gavin Hood. I don't think he's still making movies. He shouldn't be making movies if he is. But yeah, he directed and wrote the screenplay, by the way, as well. So he's got a big hand in this movie. I didn't really know who to pick. I threw out a couple names here. Josh Trank, J.J. Abrams, I think would actually be a decent pick. And then obviously like Denis Villeneuve, but he's probably not going to direct it. But Denis, I feel like make the best film. But I'd give Trank or Abrams a chance, again at this if they did want to redo it, because I think it is probably decent source material. And yeah, I feel like that's just a decent sci-fi director. I feel like there's not a lot of those, honestly, who have a reputation of that. And JJ's my boy, so I'll back him. Force Awakens underrated. Star Trek 09 classic also. Throw that out there. Go watch Star Trek 09.
You can't
Go and see
finish
that
it.
movie.
You can only start things. So that's
exactly.
his big problem.
This is the first movie in the franchise, so he's perfect for it.
All right. I'm also going to replace the director and with someone who I think is a great sci-fi director and great director overall. Kody's a big fan. Rian Johnson. Let me get Rian Johnson is taking over Ender's Game. Star Wars fans, they were pissed off. They ran him off. They weren't going to let him have his trilogy. That's it. He gets Ender's Game. We're back, baby. Again, move over, Star Wars. Ender's Game is the next new thing. Rian Johnson can handle a twist. He's my pick. Direct this movie. Write it.
It's true. I actually like that. He's another sci-fi guy. I didn't think about him at all. But yeah, obviously Last Jedi was an interesting movie. Won't go into it too much. But all of his like solo stuff, like one-offs, are very, very good. So fuck it, dude. Give it to Rian Johnson.
Honestly, I'd pick anybody over the guy that did direct it.
Oh yeah, you could have named anybody, and I wouldn't have been too mad about it.
I would have let Kody do it.
Fuck it, dude. Why not?
Do either of you have more recasts?
Yeah, not really.
Okay. My last one is to replace Harrison Ford. I'm gonna replace him with George Clooney. So
I think Clooney would be more committed to the role than Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Clooney is a real serious character actor. You should stop disrespecting George like that.
Sorry, George.
I've seen that man. He's in like military stuff where he plays like the commander or like the head. I think he can have a little bit more passion, but also be the gruff, like hard ass a little bit. So he can, you see him the way he led that Ocean's 11 team. It's just like that, get maybe a little weird love interest with Viola Davis is like his motivation secondary on the second half. Yeah, I love it. So,
I say fuck it. Let's just throw in Tommy Lee Jones, dude.
Will Smith.
Yeah,
and then Set It on Earth. And then there's like a guy who crash lands and eats a farmer.
After Earth, not on Earth. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking MIB, but fair enough.
No, I wasn't Jaden in this.
They should make a Men in Black 4 with Jaden Smith.
I'd watch that.
Awesome.
I would be into it. Willow and Jaden together, they're the new duo.
They just make the soundtrack. I mean,
well, they could. It could be a musical too.
Oh,
that's pushing
live action.
Hey man, musicals are back in. It's 2021. Ever since Hamilton. All right, let's move on to Welcome to the Academy.
There's a mistake. Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture.
Moonlight won.
Austin, what awards are you giving this film?
So I had one that I kind of like, but I think I'm going to start off with another one. And I'm going to give this the Academy Award for most voice cracks by a 16-year-old lead actor in a movie. I probably count it on both hands, and I probably need Korbin's set of hands as well to count the voice cracks. But
you can use my hands.
I appreciate that. I should have done it when we watched it. But I just think it's kind of weird that a 16-year-old kid is, I mean, I guess it's not really weird, but it's annoying to me.
Cut him out. Where's some editing?
The mixing, just cut it. If you really want the voice cracks in there, let's have it every sentence. Edit one in every time.
That's probably why they had some of that ADR. Maybe, too many voice cracks. They had to go back over top.
They had to go up to Butterboy, say, act your age, man.
I like
giving the Butterboy grief for going through puberty. That's stuff. And, my first Oscar. I think this movie's got the worst character names of all time. I'll run through a couple of them here. Obviously, you got Ender, you got Bonzo, you got Dap, Bean, Valentine, Petra, and then a good old Bernard. I like weird names and out there names, but I legit don't think I would consider any of these to name my kid. And that's saying a lot because I'd name my kid basically anything. Maybe Bean, actually. Bean for a million, that's not bad, but I think it's got to be dominated.
You're not worth a bean on the street, dude.
She made bangs. Yeah, I think it's gotta be nominated for worst movie names. It's definitely up there.
Interesting that they have bad names when the author's name is Orson Scott Card.
Yeah,
Like, in my opinion, that's a pretty cool name, but now they got people like that.
that is kind of a badass name. Anything Orson, I think. I should name my kid Orson. See, I do that in a
Orson
heartbeat.
Welles.
It's a good name, yeah. But yeah, he didn't translate it to the screen very well, I guess. But
Hey, bro.
tough.
Andrew Wiggin. That's a good name.
Andrew Wiggin.
Greatest Warriors player of all time.
Maybe his parents were really big Ender's Game fan. Did you ever think of that?
I did now. Doesn't make
Exactly.
sense.
Look into
Give me your answer,
Mom.
Korbin.
Worst sci-fi movie. I just think this movie's awful.
Yeah.
You know, it's no Star Trek or anything. It's not that bad, but
It's not Into Darkness, yeah.
it's not a great, especially for like $100 million plus budget. You know, we live in the land of IP, so it makes sense that they tried to make it. There's been a lot of failures of book or comic book or anything adaptations. This is just one of many. So probably not the worst of all time, but definitely in 2013, give it the worst one, especially with Harrison Ford. My God. All right. That's all I have.
I do have another one. I'll bounce back to me. Sort of also just talking about sci-fi. I think this is probably the best planet genocide I've ever seen. Definitely in the running. I'd say it's this or Alderaan with New Hope. I feel like those are the two obvious ones. Can't really think of a ton of people are gonna combat that, but it's kind of a cool genocide. That doesn't feel right saying, but that is my Oscar category.
They destroyed him down to the molecules, dude. With that big old cannon.
Yeah, that thing is tough.
Mm-hmm.
I'd not fuck with that thing.
So I had one other one. I would continue to shit on this movie. I was thinking that it could probably get the award for the most fumbled bag. I mean, the marketing, as I said at the very beginning, the marketing for this movie was freaking god awful. And if they I think actually had a more direct of who their target audience was, and actually made a better trailer that didn't reveal the big old twist, I think it would have done way better, box office wise.
That is honestly true. I feel like this was a big opportunity to get like a new franchise off the ground. And it's sort of like the Hunger Games YA stuff, where if you get a hit, you're gonna make like billions and billions of dollars. So yeah, I didn't even think about it, honestly. The budget, I mean, they went all out. It obviously didn't work, but yeah, I mean, dude, if they were to remake this, I'd probably go see it because it's like an interesting concept. But yeah,
Sure.
definitely fumbled the bag. R.I.P.
Hey, man. Never like it when we lose some money. We don't like that out here, man. Let movies make money, produce stories.
What studio even made this? I don't even know. Sony?
Hell if I know. Hell if I know.
I bet they're not around anymore. But yeah.
Let's move on to weird movie detail trivia.
Naked grandma.
Naked, huh?
I got two questions.
You go first, then I got one.
All right. This is for both of you, but I want Kody to answer first, and then we'll let Austin answer because it's kind of related to the books. So,
Oh, great.
to date, there are 18 publications in the Ender Games series, 5 novels and 1 novella in the Ender series, 4 novels and 1 novella in the Shadow Saga, 5 novels in the Formic War series, 1 novel in the Fleet School series, and 1 collection of short stories. Basically, there's 18 total things, and they're broken up into like these individual series as well. Which of these titles is not one of those 18? Okay.
This is bullshit.
Just take a guess, based on the titles. So the first one is obviously called Ender's Game. Here's some other options. You tell me which one is not. Speaker for the Dead, Goblet of the Giant, Children of the Mind, Shadows in Flight, First Meetings.
So all of these are titles except for one.
Yes.
Ooh, that is tough. What was the giant one? What was the giant one and the last one?
Goblet of the Giant, and the last one was First Meetings.
I feel like Goblet of the Giant is so out there that it is a title. First Meetings is too basic. I don't know. I feel like it might be the first one too, just because you're trying to throw me off.
Speaker for the Dead?
No, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the last one.
First Meetings.
One.
All right.
Yeah.
Lock that in. Austin, what do you think what's your answer?
I think I'm gonna lock in with Kody here. Actually, hang on. What was the
Which
second
one of these do you know? Which one of these have you read?
Speaking for the Dead, I've read and is good, so it's definitely not that one.
Goblet of the Giant, Children
Goblet
of the
of the
Mind,
Giant.
Shadows in Flight, First Meetings.
Okay, I know Shadows in Flight is one. I know Speaking for the Dead is one, and I know that. Shit. One more time. Go through them.
Goblet
Children
of the Giant,
Mind.
Children
That
of the
one sounds
Mind,
real.
Shadows in Flight, First
That's one.
Meetings.
God, I'll go for the same one as Kody.
It is Goblet of the Giant.
Yeah.
That's
God
the title I
damn
made
it.
up.
You fucking.
There's some wacky names.
That was too bait. That was too
The
bait.
Formic Wars series, I think that's where First Meetings come from, and their titles are a little bit different. But a lot of them are very similar to like Ender's Game, Speak for the Dead, Children of the Mind, Shadows in Flight. So I got that Goblet of the Giant in there. All right, Kody, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So my movie trivia questions today centers around Oscar nominations or Emmy nominations.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm gonna give you 3 actors in this movie, and you're gonna tell me who has the most Oscar/Emmy nominations. So yeah, who
what
has the
Golden
most?
Globes?
No, because I didn't look it up. We've got the Butter Boy himself, Asa Butterfield. We got Harry Ford, Mr. Han Solo, or his sister Abigail Breslin, who's in the movie for 10 minutes. Which of those 3 has the most Emmy/Oscar nominations? I want to hear Austin first.
Well, I think Harrison Ford is bait. But
Because he's like 90, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Butterboy, he was such the like hot commodity, up and coming. I feel like he got a lot of stuff. I'd never heard of the girl before, even though like she looks familiar. But I'm gonna go with most. I'll go with Butterboy to go. Yeah.
We got Austin with Butterboy. Corbin, what you thinking?
So I was almost writing a similar question to this, but mine was going to be like Oscar nominees. So I know Harrison Ford has been nominated for 1 Oscar, and that is all on his. That's all he's got in terms of Oscars. In terms of Emmys is for television. I don't think Harrison.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't think Harrison Ford has a lot of Emmys. So with 1 Oscar, and I can't imagine Harrison Ford has that many nominations. So Harrison Ford's out. If you had said Viola Davis or Ben Kingsley, though, those are 2 well-decorated actors and actresses, both with Emmys and Oscar nominations and Oscar wins for both of them. Now, Abigail Breslin is the younger sister to Emma Stone in Zombieland.
Of course.
And I think that's the only thing I've seen her in.
Really?
But she's probably in something else.
Yeah.
But I gotta go Butterboy here. He's been in so much. I feel like he definitely has to have an Emmy nomination for Sex Education, or at least the show was nominated. Maybe not him. I'm gonna go Asa Butterfield, most nominations.
Going Asa Butterfield. So you guys are both going Butterboy.
It's probably Abigail Breslin, but
Yeah, probably.
It was kind of a trick question. But I believe you're both wrong. I don't think Butterboy has any nominations at all. I just
Fair.
double checked to look, and I believe that's correct. But yeah, Harrison Ford has 1. You're correct for Best Actor in Witness, 1986.
Yeah.
Abigail Breslin, I'm surprised you didn't know this, Corbin, also has 1 for Best Supporting Actress, Little Miss Sunshine, 07, which was
People
like
love that movie. Like
Yeah,
people
that's a
watch
good
it,
movie.
but I have never seen it. So
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's just so memorable because she's so young in that movie and she was nominated. Yeah, they both have 1 Oscar nom. So you guys both got it wrong. You could have picked, you had a 2 out of 3 choice there. Get it right. You both picked Butterboy. But yeah, that's my trivia question this week.
wait, so she has more than 1 Oscar nominee though, or like more than 1 nomination?
No, they both have 1. Yeah.
Oh, so it was a tie.
It was a trick question. Yeah.
And we both voted for the one person who. Hailee Steinfeld also won Oscar nomination, right? And no
Sure.
Emmys. So
What's
there
she
you go.
nominated for? I don't know.
True Grit.
Oh,
Best
that's
supporting
right. I
actress.
would have put her down if I remember that. But yeah, nah, True Grit. That's Jake's movie. It's all right.
He does love that movie. All right. Moving on. Austin, what's your question? Did you come up with one
Okay.
yet?
Yeah, I kind of grasping at straws here. I have options if you guys need it. How much money do you think this movie made?
Ooh,
I'll go ahead and say the budget was 110 million.
yeah.
Mhm.
I knew it was around there. How much money did this make? Okay,
Try to
2013.
free ball it, and then it'll give us options after.
Domestically
Okay.
or internationally?
I pulled numbers and I can't tell you which one it was, so I'll just
Okay.
say yes.
It's probably just domestic.
Probably domestically. They wouldn't show this movie in China. That's for sure. They
I
have
hope
better
not.
taste than China.
I hope not
That's-
for China's, yeah,
yeah.
for their sake. I'm thinking like, I'm thinking like 40, 45, somewhere in there. Like that's a bomb. Maybe it didn't bomb that much. I don't know who'd go watch this movie. It is YA, so maybe
I
it's
was
higher.
excited to see this. I read this book because I knew they were making this movie in 2013. I was really excited.
All right, maybe I'm gonna say like 80 then. I'm gonna say double that.
Is this Price is Right rules closest without going over?
Hey, we'll play it that way.
Sure.
I'll
say
bet $1 if you're betting 80 million.
Okay, I'll go 75.
No
I'll go
shot this
70
went
then.
because it definitely didn't go over 100. Obviously,
No. I'd be surprised at least.
I don't think it went. Okay, you're saying 75. I'm gonna go.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I'll say
I'm gonna go-
69.
I'll say $52 million.
Okay, so subtracting the budget from how much this money made, you guys need to be under $25 million.
Wait, so what? This is
Okay,
like
I
how
got
much
you.
money it made, or like what did it just make straight to the box?
Box office used. What was your answer, Corbin, for box office?
52 million.
Okay, box office. This movie did make over 100 million.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
It made 125 million, but that's only like 15 million profit.
Right, yeah. And I mean,
And
when
with marketing,
they
they definitely
marketing's
lost a
usually
lot of
tough.
money.
If they did better marketing, they'd probably come out like zero.
But they make other money after the fact.
Well, yeah,
okay.
I mean, you have to like double your budget basically to just break even. But yeah,
Jesus, over 100. This made over 100 million.
100 mil. I
That's
can't
a
believe
different
that,
time
honestly.
in movie making. I can tell you that. That in 2013,
It would not make 100 million today. I don't think.
Well,
No.
no, this year it'd probably make like 10 million, if that.
Well, yeah,
But
this
that's
year,
also the state of things.
I
right
will
now.
say I didn't see this movie in theaters. I'm pretty sure I illegally streamed this movie when I first watched it.
Wow, just
As
a
big of a
13-year-old
fan as I was.
breaking copyright law.
one, two, three movies.
Hey, rest in peace. I haven't used that in forever.
That was a classic middle school. Yeah.
All right. My final question here. I think Kody probably knows this, so we'll again let Austin answer first, and then Kody can give his. Although Austin may know as well.
We'll see.
What live action adaptation of a superhero was Asa Butterfield almost cast as?
I was gonna mention this earlier, but I
Dick
didn't.
Grayson on the Titans TV show, the X-Men universe of Quicksilver, the MCU's Spider-Man, or the DCEU version of the Flash?
Man, I have absolutely no clue.
Was a leader in this casting for a while, and then they obviously went with someone else.
I don't think it's Quicksilver. And so at this point, would Spider-Man have been like what Tom Holland was cast as, that casting?
Yeah, MCU Spider-Man.
No, I'm in between Spider-Man and Flash. I think Flash, they have like a slightly older guy, and Spider-Man's supposed to be kind of a younger role. So I'm going to go with MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah, and to not spoil that, that's definitely correct. Yeah. No, the Butter Boy was the leading person they were looking at for a long time, I think. But yeah, I was gonna say that earlier, which is funny. But I'll also answer MCU Spider-Man.
That is correct. MCU Spider-Man. I struggled a little bit to come up with choices that would be good, but
Believable. Yeah, there's
did-
not a ton of like teenage
young
boy
superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
especially with like the timing and his age, and yeah. But you're 100% right. Tom Holland, him similar age. The Flash he'd probably be too young for that.
If maybe if he looked a little bit older, not as a 10-year-old when he was 16 years old.
True. He does not really look 24 now.
No.
Let's move on to pitch time. Kody, who's dying? What's the sequel? Let's hear it.
I'm actually not going for a sequel. I'm going for a prequel, mixing it up this week, so everybody gets to stay alive for a while, but not for too long. But yeah, my pitch is it's called Peter's Game, and it's just the story of his psycho brother. I want to see his rise. I want to see his fall. I want to see him be, this highly touted prospect that they're grooming to be whatever Ender is now. And then just go psycho crazy and murder everybody possible in the movie. So this is a completely different movie. This is not whatever made for kids. I want like an American Psycho sort of vibe. And like I said, Peter's one of my favorite characters, and he's in it for like 10 seconds. So give me all the screen time for him possible. Just murdering bugs, murdering humans, pretty much anything alive. He just wants to go after it. So I'm down for that.
Would you want to see play Peter in that? Any idea?
That's a good question. I don't know. Whoever played him in this is fine, I guess. But
the kid from Jojo Rabbit. The main kid.
Maybe now. I want somebody like a little bit older. But yeah, obviously they gotta be like 10 years old. Yeah, but I mean, we can change the material.
Jacob Tremblay.
No, that kid sucks.
Ben Wolfhard.
Give me Macaulay Culkin.
The other kid from Stranger Things. No,
Macaulay Culkin can go dark.
Okay. Macaulay Culkin has to play Ender, and we can put Kieran Culkin.
Culkin? Who's Macaulay Culkin?
Continue with your saying.
Oh, that's it. That's my pitch, boys. Peter's game. It'd be top of the box office week 1, but after that, probably
definitely.
To your pitch, Austin.
This is I'll go with an easy one to begin with. I really want to see a movie done on the second book, Speaker for the Dead. I believe that's really the only other book where Ender is like a primary character, because the rest is like different stuff. I don't want to spoil anything, but I think the book is really, really well done. Now that they see how poorly Ender's Game did, I think they could change some things and actually make that movie way better. So it'd be really interesting to see that, because you just see the other side of Ender, and plus he's older, like I think 30 plus, maybe around in that range. Something else I think would be really interesting is, we mentioned it before, but Ender's Game, the book, has a lot of subplots. Like there's a whole different story about what's happening on Earth while he's up in space. But I think maybe a show or another movie probably a show that's doing like weekly episodes where they could discuss the different subplots of the book, I would say would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'd probably watch that too. I think that's one of the main things when you're trying to adapt a book. I'd say most times do a show, because the book, like, there's just so much detail that always gets left out, unless you got like a super tight script or something. But I think TV is much easier to adapt, like good books.
They could have made the movie a 2-parter and maybe done a better job, but I don't want to sit through two 2-hour-long Ender's Game movies.
Go Hunger Games, baby.
Exactly.
Stretch it out.
For me, moving on, talking about the sequel that he just talked about, basically they jump 3,000 years in the future, but Ender is only a little bit older because of some interstellar type time dilation bullshit that happened. Baby. Yeah, but I want to see the journey from the end of this book to like where he ends up when it gets to the Speaker of the Dead, which is the next book in the series. So just like him traveling, maybe even go away from the intended direction of the next book. So just like create your own story. Where does Ender end up after this? He's got to start this new species. He's got to learn from him. We don't have to follow the continuity of the written work of Orson Scott Card. We can create our own new story with Ender going out into the cosmos to revitalize and recolonize the species. Beyond that, I don't have any big story beats, but I think there's something interesting there, and that's all I got for my pitch.
Well, that is interesting. I didn't even think about what happens in between the end of Ender's Game and the beginning of Speaker for the Dead, so I think that'd be pretty cool.
Is Butterboy back or no?
Yeah, bring him back. Bring Asa back. I think him post genocide is probably a better role for Asa Butterfield than him pre-genocide. So
okay,
I agree with that too.
Glad we can use that as a benchmark.
The genocide benchmark.
They call it in these books, it's actually xenocide, because they kill an entire. It's not people. It's not like humans. It's aliens. It actually ends up being one of the titles of another book. It's called Xenocide. But
I like that a lot. Xenocide. You just got xenocided, bro.
Moving on to the rating of this movie.
You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? Am I wrong? It's my favorite.
Mine is pretty low. We'll give it first to the guy, the guest, the man who enjoys the original book. What are you rating this film out of 69? Austin, take it away.
First off, I just want to say 69. Nice, beautiful number.
Thank you. First guest to appreciate that.
Hey, I do what I can.
Definitely not faulty.
This movie only got points to me because of the book. I'm giving it a nice 21.
Oh my god!
I mean, like, I didn't find myself like not wanting to watch it while I was watching the movie. I just, because I love the book so much, I think it could have been done way better and like had so much more in it. That's why my rating's so low.
The second lowest score ever given to a film
Hey.
on this podcast.
That is very low. Only
This-
Chicken Little is underneath this movie.
The sky's falling. But yeah, I just feel like there could have been so much done to make this better. Screenplay, casting, just pretty much anything.
Just completely revamp the movie. Make a
Yeah, I
better
mean,
movie.
exactly. Maybe I'd be interested in that, but I think I'm pretty comfortable with what I rated it.
No, I think it's good. Kody, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna pretty much double that up somehow. I don't really know how that happened, but I'm looking at a 44 out of 69 here. For me, that's by no means a good score on the show. Our last episode, I believe, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I gave it like a 47, and I was comparing that.
This is the same as the original Spider-Man.
Okay, that's probably fair. It's a movie I wouldn't want to watch again. That's where this falls for me. I think The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that cutoff where, if I'm feeling it one day, maybe I'll go check it out again. But everything below that, I mean, a 44, I'm not gonna watch this movie again. But yeah, the visuals are decent. It's got a fun cast. Obviously, they're all terrible. The kid actors are fun to watch sometimes. It's got interesting stuff here and there. The twist at the end, I thought if they delved into it at all, maybe it would have hit home. But yeah, not terrible, but certainly by no means good. But yeah, 44. What are you thinking, Korbin?
You think this movie's better than Holes?
I mean, by my rating, evidently. It's close. It's got terrible acting from the kids.
Holes
Dude,
has
John
good
Voight.
kids actors.
Yeah, well, John Voight is basically just the epitome of everything I hate in cinema.
I can
so
fix that. All right.
yeah,
I'm gonna give this movie a 31 out of 69, which is
Man.
not my lowest score, but pretty close to my lowest. I do not enjoy this movie very much. Has, like said, interesting premise, done in a really poor, joyless, heartless, uninteresting way. So be better.
fair enough. Maybe my rating's too high, dude. Jesus
I
Christ.
say, no, I kind of feel bad giving it 21 now.
I don't know how you think this movie.
Should I bump it down a little bit?
I don't know how you think this movie is better than Holes, but I'm not.
All right, I'll go 39 out of 69. I'll change it.
Yeah.
I didn't
We-
put
we
too much
need to
thought.
move
Better
into
than
it.
The Last Jedi, then.
Yeah, it's still better than Last Jedi.
Oh,
I'm never watching that fucking piece of shit. I'd watch this movie over Last Jedi a million times. So yeah, I'll go 39 out of 69 to bring the rating down a little bit for all
right.
three of us.
39. All right, so that was our discussion on Ender's Game. Now we're gonna talk about what we've been into, what we've been watching, and if we have any recommendations for the viewers. Austin, you're the guest. What do you recommend? What have you been into?
So, I mean, we just had Thanksgiving break, had some time with the fam, watched some movies. The other night we watched Red Notice that has Gal Gadot, Ryan Reynolds, The Rock. I thought it was actually a pretty good movie. It had a couple twists and stuff. Won't go into it, but I definitely recommend it. It's a good watch, especially if you're into any of those actors, because Ryan Reynolds acts very Deadpoolish. If that's something that you guys are interested in. Something else I've been watching. I've been enjoying anime recently. I'm watching One Piece. Animated Pirate Crew. Probably can't get much better than that. But I'd also recommend that. Only if you have a lot of free time, though, because right now, I think last week, episode 1000 just came out. So if you have time to commit into something, One Piece is the way to go.
It's a big commitment. Though.
Yeah.
How long are those episodes?
They're probably about 18 minutes.
Okay.
Still, though.
Yeah.
Not that long.
18,000 minutes.
Yeah. I can't remember how long it takes if you just sat down and only watched it, how long it would take. But
That's why TV shows aren't for me. That's why I stick to movies. Kody, you finally go see anything? You finally see Dune? What do you got?
I've
any
not
thoughts?
seen Dune yet, sadly. Not gonna lie, this week haven't watched a lot, but I do have a couple recs. No movies though, so sorry, Korbin. But yeah, my first one, I checked out Hawkeye last night. First couple episodes, new Disney Plus show, and yeah, no, I don't know what to think of it. I did like the first couple episodes. I think it's one of those shows where I'd rather just the entire thing comes out and I binge it in like 3 days. 'Cause it's not something I feel like I'm going to be looking forward to every week. Like, oh, what's going to happen in Hawkeye this week?
Mhm.
Like the first two episodes, they're kind of grouped together as one almost in a sense. And if they're going to do that a lot, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah, Hailee Steinfeld. I mean, she's pretty good in the show. So not ragging on her too hard. But yeah, some of the villains and stuff, I don't know. Vera Farmiga's in it. I'm sure she's gonna be a bad guy for no reason. But Hawkeye, I think he deserves his own show, due diligence, and I'd definitely say check that out if you like the MCU. Then also, of course, we have to do the Survivor recap. Corbino,
I
did you check
haven't
out
watched the
this week?
episode, so
You haven't. It's a good one. It's one of the better ones of the season. I'd recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. But yeah, definitely good episode. So go check that out.
awesome. Yeah, I'll probably be watching it soon. I'll definitely watch it before Wednesday because then got the new one coming out after that. So for me, break time means lots of opportunities to watch movies. So I picked up on the movie watching. So I watched 4 movies that just came out. So some new releases. I checked out Tick Tick Boom, first of all, which is again a movie Kody talked about with Andrew Garfield. And that was pretty interesting. I wasn't a huge fan of the first half. And then I think second half, it delves a little bit more into the struggling artist, the struggling writer, like that side of things, and like dealing with failure and like moving on to the next one. And I found that a lot more compelling than just like the nothingness that was happening in the first half. Checked out King Richard as well, the Will Smith touted probably best actor performance. He's really fantastic. I'm not a huge Will Smith fan, but I think he is genuinely great in this movie. And if he wins the Oscar at the end of the day, I won't have any problem with it. I think it'll be deserving. And honestly, top 3 movie of the year for me so far. So I thought King Richard was really good, a really interesting story. Moving on, I went and saw 2 movies in theaters on Black Friday. I saw Belfast, which is a Kenneth Branagh semi-autobiographical story about growing up in Northern Ireland in the late 60s and all the gang violence and religious issues that were going on during that time and the riots and whatnot. Movie that I didn't really know a ton about, but had heard is basically, a best picture contender. And I would say it definitely is a best picture contender. Also a top 10 movie of the year for me. Really interesting. Everyone just looks beautiful in it, shot in black and white. Just a bunch of Irish people rioting, but then great kid acting and the struggle of, kind of growing up in an environment like that. And it's definitely a crazy story. Then finally, the Ridley Scott directorial, second directed movie from Ridley Scott to come out this year, House of Gucci. That movie's a lot. It's long. It's affluent and extravagant and exclamation points all over the place is essentially how I would describe it. Story's okay. Acting, everybody's acting their asses off. I think Jared Leto, take away the Joker part of his career, and Jared Leto is one of the best actors of all time.
Really?
Wow.
He always knows what movie he's in. So even whereas like this isn't a traditionally great acting performance, or like it's not necessarily like your traditional dramatic performance. He knows what kind of flamboyant, extravagant, over the top method acting role that he needs to play. And it just, you can enjoy him just sitting there and doing nothing in this film. He's great. Obviously, Requiem for a Dream, I love. Fantastic in Dallas Buyers Club, even though it may be a problematic performance. I think Jared Leto will never phone in a performance and is always going to be historically great. And then you've got Adam Driver, who I think in our next episode next week, we probably will both talk about a lot. Just a fantastic actor, as well as, greats like Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons,
Lady Gaga.
and then Oscar nominated Lady Gaga. What? She won.
Think she's going to get nominated?
I think she is. Did she win before? Best actress?
Did she win?
She was nominated for Best Actress.
I don't think she won. Yeah, that would have been crazy. Do you think she's going to get nominated for this?
I do think she's going to get nominated for her Russian accent. Yeah.
I do want to go check this movie out just because it's Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, and Jared Leto. It's like the main three. And you got Pacino too. This is one of them where like the reviews has kind of been a little iffy. But if you're saying you liked it, I definitely will go check this movie out, honestly.
It was mid-tier for me. Like in movies, I gave it 3.5 stars. Pretty good. Definitely a fun movie though, which is it was enjoyable to watch, and a story that I really didn't know anything about. So delving into that, like what actually happened, because it is inspired by true events. Pretty crazy stuff that happens with the Gucci family. So
I
Nice.
heard some pretty dog water reviews, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. But what are we doing next week? I don't even remember.
Top 5 favorite actors currently working.
Currently working.
Wow.
Well, I gotta go deep into that. I mean, we know Dave Bautista is gonna be on top, but other than that, who the hell knows?
No spoilers for the list. My last thing that I will recommend that I have not been into is Sex Education. Butterboy himself. Fantastic show. Just know when you fire it up, the first scene, you're just going to be having a straight sex scene. So, watch who's around you. I believe Kody used to refer to it as me watching porn when I would watch this show. He would come in and you and Connor would say I was watching porn in my room, but
Somebody's always doing something.
Just trying to watch Sex Education, which is truly a fantastic show with fantastic representation of all types. Of every type of representation is found within the show, and it just makes people feel better. I think it makes me feel better about life. So shout out Sex Education. Any other recommendations, guys?
I got nothing.
I
recommend listening to KHAP episode, whatever this is. Good episode.
I heard it's pretty good.
Follow Kody and I on Letterboxd. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. Share with a friend. Hit us
Rate
up
me
if
to
you
my
want to be a
face.
guest.
Yeah. Also, yeah, definitely just that's the big one. I think still looking for guests. We do have some people have reached out, but definitely feel free to just reach out, because I mean we're probably not going to say no. So yeah.
Yeah.
Korbin, when's Snyder's cut for this episode coming out?
Oh, it's already out. Hashtag leave it in.
Do you want to know who this is unrelated. Do you want to know who my most watched director of the year so far has been, with 8 movies?
Wow.
Is it Ridley Scott?
Zack Snyder.
Huh.
Speaking of the Snyder cut.
Wow.
Why are you watching so many Zack Snyder movies?
I don't know. I was really disappointed when I saw that. But it's
Zack
because I
Snyder
rewatched
times.
all of the DC movies before the Snyder cut came out.
Mm,
And
Did you
then I
watch-
also watched his new movie and Watchmen.
I was gonna say
And-
Watchmen. I
Yeah.
love Watchmen personally, but that's probably just because I haven't read the graphic novel, I think, and it's just super stylistic. I think that's probably Zack Snyder's best movie, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's probably his best. HBO Max TV show Watchmen, I hear, is much better. So check that out.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I do want to watch that.
All right, everybody. Stay capping. Austin, thank you for
Austin,
joining us.
Appreciate you
Thank
coming
you,
on,
guys.
bud. Yeah.
No problem.
Peace.
Peace.